Man, you ever ask yourself why your life still feels stuck even though you're doing all the right things? And going to the gym, reading the books, listening to all these so-called motivational gurus. And yet here you are, still afraid, still weak, still hiding from the same shit you were running from 10 years ago. Let me tell you exactly why. Because you've never fucking gone back. You're putting a new paint job on a house with a rotten ass foundation. It looks nice on Instagram, but one storm hits and boom, you collapse. The problem ain't outside. It never was. It's deep inside. It's the part you won't look at. That dark, moldy, nasty, raw part of your past that you buried. But it's not dead. It's in the basement of your mind, the sewer. That's where the truth lives. And you won't get better until you crawl down there face first and deal with it. When I was around 24, I kept wondering why I couldn't hold it together. I'd lose weight, get a little discipline, start pushing forward. And boom, setback. Small shit would break me. Someone says something, I fold. Minor failure. I quit. Every time I made progress, some invisible hand would drag my ass back. That hand wasn't life, it wasn't fate. It was me. It was my own unprocessed pain, my own cowardice. All the trauma I refused to fucking look at. It was in control of me. See, the scars you got on your skin, they don't lie, but we forget that the worst scars are on the brain. I had scars from watching my mom get beat, from getting my ass kicked for no reason, from being called stupid every day, from being told I'd never be anything, from believing it. That's the worst one, believing it. That belief creates a loop, a broken mental program. And you keep living out the same patterns, thinking it's bad luck, thinking life is just hard. Nah, it's you. You're running on corrupted software. And the only way to fix it isn't to install some new positive mindset app. It's to dig in and rip that shit out, root by root. That's what I did. I sat on my couch, damn near 300 pounds. And I made the decision that I was done running from my story. I was done blaming my dad, done blaming school, done blaming the racist ass town I grew up in. I stopped pointing the finger outward and turned that motherfucker inward. I went back. In my mind, I replayed everything. Every room in that house where the beatings happened. Every second I sat in a classroom knowing I couldn't read. Every time someone called me a name and I smiled like it didn't bother me, when really it cut deep. I sat with it all. I let it burn. I didn't numb it. I didn't excuse it. I owned it. And that's where my power started. You got to understand something. Your trauma is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. Nobody's coming back to fix it. Not your daddy, and not your ex, not your high school coach. No one. So you got two choices. Carry that shit to your grave or turn it into a weapon. People don't want to hear this because it ain't sexy. It ain't some quick fix. Going into the sewer of your mind is slow. It's dirty. It's lonely as fuck. There's no applause, no trophy at the end. It's you and the demons. And they don't go easy. They fight. They scream. They make you doubt everything you built. But if you stay in the fight, if you look them dead in the eyes and say, I'm not afraid of you anymore, something changes. You stop being a victim. You stop playing small. You stop being soft. I'm not saying this from a therapist's chair. I'm saying it as a motherfucker who lived it. I was that guy hiding behind jokes, behind lies, behind food, behind fake confidence. I became the tough guy because I was scared of being exposed. But that toughness wasn't real. It was armor, and armor cracks. The only real toughness is built when you strip everything down and rebuild it brick by fucking brick from the inside out. And the worst part is this. Most people don't even know they're running. And they're too busy distracting themselves. Every time that old feeling creeps in, that fear, that shame, that self-doubt, they scroll, they eat, they drink, they ghost their own lives. They don't want to feel anything real. And that's the cost of staying comfortable. You stay broken. So yeah, I had to go back and relive every fucked up thing that made me. And it damn near broke me all over again. But you know what came out the other side? Clarity, ownership, strength. I stopped reacting to the world. I started creating my own response. I didn't let the past choose my future anymore. I chose it. And I chose pain. I chose growth. I chose war. Because here's the truth. Peace isn't the absence of chaos. It's owning the chaos. It's knowing the worst thing that ever happened to you and being able to say, that motherfucker made me. That's the sewer. That's where the gold is. But only if you got the guts to go down and get it. Man, let me tell you where the real work begins. Not in the gym. Not in some boot camp. Not reading a motivational quote that sounds good but don't do shit. The real work begins in front of the mirror. Not the one that shows your haircut or your biceps. I'm talking about the accountability mirror. That's the mirror you avoid every day. You pass it. Maybe glance at it. Maybe flex a little. Maybe look away. Because deep down, it sees you. It sees the real you. The weak you. The liar. The quitter. The fake tough guy act. It don't give a fuck about your filtered selfies or your new diet. It's the one place you can't hide. When I was a young man, after I got out of that sewer of trauma and started facing what was really going on, I realized I had to look myself in the eye. Not for 5 seconds. Really fucking look. I had to strip away every lie I told myself. All the excuses. All the reasons I said I couldn't succeed. I had to face the reflection and speak truth. You're fat, David. You're dumb. You're lazy. You're full of shit. Not because I hated myself. Because I was done lying to myself. People hear this and say, that's too harsh, man. You need to love yourself. Yeah, fuck that. You can't love yourself if you don't even know who the fuck you are. Loving the lie ain't love. That's delusion. You want real love. Start with honesty. I had sticky notes all over that mirror. Shit that made me uncomfortable as hell. Stuff I didn't want to admit. But every day I forced myself to read it, to absorb it, to swallow it. Not as punishment, as a plan. Because the mirror don't just tell you what's wrong. It tells you what the fuck you got to do. You're fat. Go run, you can't read. And go study, you're insecure. Start building discipline. That mirror became my drill sergeant, my coach, my therapist, my executioner. It didn't take days off. It didn't sugarcoat shit. And because of that, it turned me into someone no one could stop. Not even me. But here's what most of you do. You avoid it. You put on makeup, metaphorically and literally. You find friends who lie to you. You call it a support system. What it really is a protection network for your bullshit. You surround yourself with people who tell you what you want to hear. It's okay, you're just tired. Don't be so hard on yourself. And you're doing your best, fuck that. Man, your best. You don't even know what your best looks like yet. You think your current effort is your best because you've never had someone tell you you're underperforming. Well, I'll be that guy. You're underperforming. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. That's the first sign of truth cutting through the lies. People ask me all the time, Goggins, how do I build discipline? How do I build mental toughness? The answer is simple. You start by telling the fucking truth. You don't need a 10-step routine. You don't need a life coach. You need a mirror and a commitment to stop bullshitting yourself. That's the root of everything. Your body ain't going to change until your mind accepts where you really are. You want to get stronger. You got to admit that you're weak. You want to be a better leader. Admit you're scared of stepping up. You want to be successful. Admit that you're playing it safe because deep down you don't think you deserve more. I've looked in the mirror more times than I can count and said things that would break most people. But that's the difference. I'd rather be broken by the truth than feel good living a lie. That mirror never lied to me. Not once. Every time I looked, it was there. Brutal, honest, unforgiving, but fair. And let me tell you what happens after a while. Something shifts. One day you look in that mirror and say, you're a fucking warrior. Not because you read it in a book. Not because someone told you, but because you earned that shit. You did the work. You held yourself accountable. You stayed when everyone else quit. You put in the reps. You made pain your partner. And now the mirror reflects that. The mirror becomes your scoreboard. And every scar, every step, every ounce of effort is visible right there. But that only happens if you stick with it. The first few times you do this, it's going to suck. You'll want to quit. You'll want to smash the mirror. Your mind will tell you all kinds of comforting lies. This is toxic. Be kind to yourself. Take a break. No, that's weakness trying to regain control. And weakness doesn't give a fuck about your goals. It just wants to stay alive. You got to kill that part. Slowly, painfully, with relentless truth. One honest moment at a time. That's how you build self-respect. Not by pampering yourself, but by proving to yourself that you can face the heat and not run. And here's the trick most people miss. The mirror works both ways. It shows you what's wrong, but it also shows you what's possible. You don't just see the failure. You see the path. Every note on my mirror became a challenge, a mission, a reason to grind. Your dumb turned into read every night. Your lazy turned into run 5 miles at 5 a.m. Insults became orders, and I followed them. That mirror didn't just expose me. It rebuilt me. And that's the beauty of it. When you stop running from who you are, when you face the raw, ugly truth every single day, you become fucking bulletproof. Not because life gets easier, but because you stop lying to yourself about how hard it really is. The accountability mirror is the single most important tool I ever had. More than a gym, more than the Navy SEALs, more than any race or medal. That mirror taught me how to be real, how to face failure, how to rise from it, how to stay hungry. You want change, you want discipline, you want to be hard as fuck. Go look in the mirror. They tell the truth. And don't look away. Look, man, comfort is a damn disease. A silent one. It doesn't scream, doesn't punch, doesn't kick. It seduces you. It whispers in your ear, you've earned it. It's take a break, relax. You deserve this. That's how it starts. And the next thing you know, you're overweight. You're mentally soft. You're emotionally weak. You're addicted to safety, to approval, to routine. You've built a life inside a padded fucking cell and called it success. Most of you are living your entire lives trying to avoid discomfort. You hate the cold. You hate the heat. You hate being tired, being hungry, being judged, being rejected. You're scared of sweat, scared of pain, scared of truth, scared of real growth. You want all the rewards without any of the suffering. That's why you're average. You know what the most dangerous drug on earth is? Not heroin, not cocaine. It's comfort. And it's legal. It's everywhere. And it's encouraged. You can see on every fucking screen. They market it to you. Food delivery, soft beds, air conditioning, participation trophies, and gentle parenting. Instagram therapists telling you that grinding is toxic. Everybody's selling you on an easier life. Everyone telling you that you don't need to suffer. Let me ask you a real question. When was the last time you deliberately did something that made you uncomfortable? I'm not talking about going to a different coffee shop or taking a cold shower one time and thinking you're hard. I'm talking about real discomfort, where your mind starts to scream, your body wants to give out, and everything in you says quit. That place. When was the last time you walked in there willingly? I do it every fucking day because I know the truth. Comfort is the enemy. It's the reason people stay stuck. It's the reason you never go after your goals. It's the reason you make excuses. Because comfort tells you you're okay, when deep down you know you're not. You know you're wasting potential. You know you've got more in you, but you'd rather feel good than be great. That's why I train in the dark. That's why I run in the freezing cold. That's why I stretch until I can't breathe. Why I wake up at 4 a.m. when I don't feel like it. Because fuck how I feel. Fuck what's easy. I'm not chasing pleasure. I'm chasing growth. And growth only lasts where comfort dies. When I went through Bud S, you think any of that shit was comfortable. You think freezing in the Pacific Ocean for hours while your body goes numb is fun. You think being sleep deprived for 5 straight days makes you feel good. Hell no, it sucks. But that's where transformation lives. That's where identity shifts. You don't become a savage in the spa. You become a savage in the fucking storm. Every time you choose comfort, you make weakness stronger. You reinforce the lie that you're not capable of more. And the thing is, you don't notice it right away. That's what makes it so dangerous. You'll still get by. You'll still make your paycheck. You still have friends. You still smile in photos. But inside, you're dying. You're decaying. One slow, painless day at a time. Look around, most people are comfortable as hell. And they hate their lives. Comfortable job, comfortable house, comfortable relationship. And still miserable. Why? Because your soul knows it was built for more. You were built for battle, not for a fucking bubble bath. That's why you're restless. That's why you're anxious. That's why you keep looking for purpose on a screen that doesn't give a damn about you. You want to kill that anxiety, get uncomfortable on purpose, and you want confidence. Go into the pain and come out the other side. You want to build self-respect. Earn it in the sweat. Earn it when it's cold. Earn it when it's hard. Earn it when it hurts. And don't fucking stop just because your mind is whining. You think I love running 100 miles. I don't even like running. You think I love sitting alone in silence for hours, stretching every muscle that screams at me to stop. Fuck no, I do it because it makes me harder. Because I know my enemies. Fear, doubt, laziness live inside my comfort. And every time I step out of it, I starve those bitches. People always say, Goggins, you're crazy. Damn right, I'm crazy. I'm crazy enough to believe that pain is the pathway to peace. I'm crazy enough to believe that comfort is a trap. I'm crazy enough to know that the best parts of me were born when I was most broken. You don't grow in the good times, you grow in the mud. You grow when you're on the floor gasping for air, when your legs are shaking, when your mind is telling you that you're done. And you keep fucking going. That's growth. That's strength. That's real confidence. And don't get it twisted. I'm not saying be reckless. I'm not saying kill yourself trying to prove something. I'm saying challenge yourself on purpose every damn day. Find that line and flirt with it. Cross it sometimes. Scare yourself. Feel what it's like to break. And then come back stronger. You want to know what separates the elite from everyone else. It ain't talent. It ain't genetics. It's the willingness to suffer deliberately, repeatedly, relentlessly. The elite seek discomfort because they know that's where freedom lives. And that's the punchline. Discomfort is where freedom lives, not just physical freedom, mental freedom, emotional freedom, freedom from the bullshit story you've been telling yourself, freedom from needing people's validation, freedom from the lie that says you can't. And you kill that lie in the gym, on the trail, in the cold, in the heat, wherever it hurts. That's where truth lives. Man, most people talk about suffering like it's a metaphor. He pushed through the pain. Discomfort is growth. Sounds good, right? But let me tell you what pain really is. Let me tell you what suffering feels like when it's not a quote, when it's not a hashtag. Let me take you to a place most people will never reach. Hell Week, Bud S, basic underwater demolition SEAL training, the crucible, where weak minds get exposed and strong ones get rewritten. It's 130 hours of nonstop, cold, wet, violent misery, 2 hours of sleep, if you're lucky. You're getting your ass kicked by the Pacific Ocean, by instructors, by the voice in your head, telling you to quit every single fucking minute. I didn't go through it once. I went through it 3 times in 1 year. I finished it twice. That doesn't happen. You don't do that because you're motivated. You do that because you're obsessed with never quitting again. See, the thing about Hell Week isn't the physical. Yeah, it'll crush your body, but what it's really trying to do is break your mind. From day one, from minute one, you're in chaos. Guns going off. Instructors yelling. Your mind is in full panic mode. But that's not the hard part. That's the easy part, actually. That's where your ego still thinks you're tough. The real battle starts in hour 2. When everything goes quiet, you're sitting in the surf, Pacific Ocean. Cold as hell. Arms locked with other guys, water washed over your face, breath shaking, body going numb. Nobody's yelling anymore. It's just the wind, the waves, and your thoughts. That's where the quitters quit. Because now it's just you and your mind. And your mind starts running the numbers. There's 129 hours left. That's 5 days. We just started. And that math starts eating you alive. And you go from, I can do this, to I'll never make it in 30 seconds flat. You panic, you shake, you break. Unless you learn the one thing that saved my ass. Don't think past the moment. You don't survive Hell Week by thinking about 5 days. You survive by living in the now. I wasn't in the ocean for 5 days. I was in the ocean for 5 seconds. Then another 5. Then another. You break time into microscopic pieces and live inside each one. That's the only way to beat the clock. Not by beating it, but by ignoring it completely. The mind wants comfort. It wants predictability. It wants control. In Hell Week, you get none of that. So the mind tries to escape. It tries to save you. But that's exactly what kills you. Your mind's job is to keep you safe, but growth lives on the other side of unsafe. If you want to evolve, you got to override your own programming. So I hacked my brain. I studied the fear. I studied the panic. I talked to it like it was a separate person. You want to quit? Good. Stay right here and suffer. I started laughing at the pain. Not because it wasn't real, but because I refused to let it control me. And once you stop fearing suffering, it loses its power. And let me tell you something else. You can't fake your way through Hell Week. You might fool people on the outside, but in that surf at 3 a.m., shivering next to 6 other men who haven't slept in 3 days, there's no hiding there. Every lie you've told yourself is loud as fuck in that moment. I'm strong. I'm tough. I'm ready. If that shit ain't true, the cold will pull it right out of you. And what about the guys around you? That's another mind fuck. You're in a boat crew, 5, 6 guys, all suffering, all broken. You don't just have to survive, you have to lead. You got to motivate when you can't even feel your legs. You got to paddle when your shoulders are locked up. You got to think when your brain feels like it's on fire. And you know what helped me the most? Stop thinking about myself. That's one of the biggest mental weapons I discovered in Hell Week. If you're only thinking about your own pain, you'll drown in it. But when you start thinking, how's the guy next to me doing? Can I help him get through this? Something shifts. You move beyond yourself. And you get purpose. You find energy in places you didn't even know existed. Because leadership in Hell Week ain't about speeches. It's about presence. You carry the weight even when your soul's screaming to drop it. And you show up. You suffer, but you don't bitch. And you push, but you don't complain. And you become the example. And in doing that, you become the standard. But don't get it twisted. That trick doesn't work forever. After Hell Week, when you're back in the world, you can't always live for other people. That's how I burned myself out later in life. Always giving, never refilling. But during war, that shit works. And Hell Week is war. So why do I tell you all this? Why does this matter to you sitting on your couch, reading this shit? Because life is Hell Week. Every single day is another chance for life to beat your ass. And if you don't train your mind, if you don't practice discipline, if you don't get comfortable being broken, you'll fold. Not maybe. Not eventually. You will fold. You have to build a Hell Week mentality. That means going into pain, not away from it. That means choosing to suffer when there's an easier way. That means doing the hard shit when no one's watching. That means holding yourself to an impossible standard and then surpassing it. Hell Week gave me tools most people will never have. Not because they can't, but because they won't. They won't go there. They won't suffer by choice. They won't put themselves through the fire. And that's why they stay average. I became who I am because I lived in hell and didn't run. You want that life. You want that fire. You want that discipline, that strength, that freedom. Go build your own Hell Week. Start with a day and make it a lifestyle. And when life gets cold, when it gets dark, when your mind says, fuck this, you look it in the eye and say, let's fucking go. Look, man, I'm not saying your dad beating your ass was your fault. I'm not saying getting bullied or cheated on or growing up poor was your fault. But where you are right now, how you're living, how you think, how you respond, that shit's on you. You've been carrying this story your whole life. They hurt me. They did me wrong. I got screwed over. Okay, maybe that's true, but you're not in that story anymore. If you're replaying it in your mind like it's still happening, and while you're reliving the past, the rest of your life is passing you by. That's your choice. See, pain is real, but so is responsibility, and they can exist at the same fucking time. Most people's lives stuck because they've never made the jump from pain to ownership. They think someone owes them something, an apology, a second chance, a new beginning. Let me break it to you. No one's coming. That apology, probably never happening. That second chance doesn't exist unless you build it from scratch. That new beginning. You got to drag your bloody broken ass to it. One step at a time. You want freedom. Own your shit. All of it. The lies you told, the workouts you skipped, the people you hurt, the time you wasted, and the money you blew, the goals you dropped. Own it. You want to know why I became the hardest motherfucker on the planet? Because I stopped bullshitting myself. I stopped blaming my dad. I stopped blaming my teachers, my learning disability, my skin color, my environment. I said, you know what? They fucked me up, but I'm the one keeping myself fucked up. That's the turning point. That's the difference between staying average and becoming unstoppable. People hear me say that and get defensive. But you don't understand, Goggins. My trauma was worse. My situation is different. You think I don't get trauma. You think I don't know what it's like to cry yourself to sleep at 6 years old while your mom gets slammed into a wall. You think I don't know shame, fear, abuse. I know it better than most. But I never let it become my excuse. I turned that shit into a weapon. And you can too, but only if you stop acting like the world owes you something for surviving. Nobody cares. The world moves on. And if you don't get your ass up and move with it, you'll get buried under your own victim story. You got to draw a line in the sand. Right here, right now. Say it out loud. I am responsible for my life. Every inch of it. Every failure. Every regret. Every piece of pain still living inside me. It's mine now. Not to carry, but to conquer. It doesn't matter if you didn't ask for it. You inherited a mess. Great. Own it. It's your fucking house now. You clean it. You rebuild it. You reinforce it so no one can tear it down again. That's what I did. Every failure I went through, I used it. When I was 300 pounds, I didn't say I have a food addiction. I said I'm lazy. When I was lying and cheating my way through school, I didn't say the system's broken. I said I'm a coward. When I was afraid of trying because I might fail, I didn't say I have anxiety. I said I'm scared. And that's not who I want to be anymore. You get what I'm saying? This ain't about putting yourself down. It's about stripping away the story and standing in front of the raw truth. Because the truth is the only thing that'll set you free, not the affirmations, not the comfort, not the support group that coddles your bullshit. The truth is this: you're capable of way more than you're doing right now. And you know it. That voice in your head knows it. That guilt you carry. It's not because of what they did to you. It's because deep down you know you've been playing small. And I get it. Ownership is scary. Because when you own your shit, there's nowhere to hide. No one to blame, no one to lean on. It's just you, your effort, your habits, and your integrity, or lack of it. But you know it comes with that power, total power. Because if you cause this version of you, and you can unmake it, you can redesign it piece by piece, day by day. You can stop waiting for someone to come fix you, and you can become the one doing the fixing. You become your own hero, not your own hostage. That's what owning your shit looks like. It looks like writing down every weakness and attacking it like it stole something from you. It looks like waking up early, not because it's cool, but because you promised yourself you would. It looks like keeping your word even when no one's watching. It looks like failing publicly and still showing up the next day. It looks like being the same motherfucker in private that you are in public. It looks like truth, not comfort, not fake smiles. Not I'm doing my best. It looks like I can do more, and I will. So many people ask me, Goggins, what if I don't know where to start? Start by owning every excuse you've made, every lie, every missed opportunity. Every time you bitched out of something hard and told yourself it was okay, own it. Then flip it. Turn I didn't have a good father into I'll be a better one. A turn I was abused into I'll become so mentally hard nothing can touch me again. A turn I hate my body into I will transform this body into armor. A turn I feel lost into I will map this fucking wilderness one step at a time. That's what ownership does. It changes everything. But only if you're willing to step into the fire and say, it's all mine now. Because once you do that, once you truly own your life, the good, the bad, the ugly, the trauma, the shame, the regret, you become untouchable. Not because life stops hurting, but because pain can't hold power over someone who's no longer hiding. Own your shit and watch everything change. Man, when you first hear the phrase callous to mind, it sounds strange. But if you've ever picked up a weight, swung a hammer, climbed a rope, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Your hands bleed at first. They blister, they tear open. But if you keep going, what happens? The skin thickens. Pressure doesn't bother you anymore. You build armor. Now imagine doing that to your brain. That's how you build an unstoppable mindset. See, most people spend their lives avoiding any friction. The second something starts to feel uncomfortable, mentally, emotionally, physically, they back off. They say, I need rest. I'm overwhelmed. This isn't good for my mental health. Let me be clear. There's a time to rest, and there's a time to harden the fuck up. And most of you don't know the difference because your mind has never been put under true pressure long enough to develop callous. You call it burnout. I call it exposure. I call it the raw nerve of a weak mind screaming because it's never had to fight. That's how I used to live. Anytime something hard came up, I backed away. Couldn't read well, I faked it. Bullied. I shut down, made fun of for stuttering. I kept quiet. What I was doing, what all of us do, is reinforcing weakness. Every time you run, every time you avoid, you're telling your brain, you were right. I can't handle this. And the brain eats that message up like candy. The next time something hard comes, it hits even harder. So I had to flip that shit. I started doing things on purpose that I knew would suck. Things that would expose every flaw, every fear, every weakness. I didn't do it for fun. I did it because I wanted that scar tissue in my brain. I wanted mental armor. I wanted to become the kind of man who looks pressure in the face and doesn't flinch. And how do you build that? Simple. You do hard shit over and over daily, consistently, and without applause. You run when you don't want to run. You read when your eyes burn. You stretch when your muscles are screaming. You study when your mind wants to scroll. And you get up at 4 a.m. not because it's trendy, but because your bitch voice says sleep in. Every time you do that, you're laying another layer of callous on your mind. You're creating proof. Evidence. You're showing yourself that you're in control. Not the fear, not the laziness, not the doubt. The more calloused your mind becomes, the less the world can break you. You think the Navy SEALs taught me that? No, life did. But SEAL training took it to another level. You go through Bud S, Ranger School, Hell Week, and the pain never stops. It just morphs. It evolves. It tests every layer of your identity. If you don't have mental callous, you quit. Plain and simple. Pain is a classroom. And most of you keep cutting class. You skip the hard stuff, then wonder why you break down when life gets rough. Why you crumble under pressure. Why one piece of criticism fucks your whole day up. Because you've never calloused your mind. You've never faced real resistance long enough to earn that toughness. So how do you get there? It starts with doing the work no one sees. That run in the rain when no one's watching. That's mental callous. That late night study session when your friends are partying, that's mental callous. That decision to show up again after a massive failure, that's mental callous. And guess what? The more calloused your mind is, the less motivation matters. Motivation is for amateurs. Discipline is for warriors. I haven't relied on motivation for years. You think I want to run 20 miles every day? You think I enjoy foam rolling my legs for hours because my muscles feel like they're tearing in half? Fuck no, I do it because I've trained my mind to stop negotiating with weakness. I hear that weak voice. I recognize it, and then I bury it under action. That's the power of repetition, of mental reps. Every rep you put in makes your decision-making sharper, faster, more ruthless. You don't debate with weakness. You execute. You don't wait for the right time. You create the time. You don't hope for strength. You build it through friction. The more I suffered, the more I grew. Every failure was a mental workout. Every setback was another day in the mental gym. And let me tell you, the moment you stop fearing discomfort is the moment your entire life changes. You stop needing approval. You stop folding when shit gets hard. You stop reacting to every little thing. You stop crying about burnout when really you're just untrained. Mental callous doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means your emotions don't run the show. It means your mind has been through hell, and instead of falling apart, it forged steel. Most people want the results, the six-pack, the focus, the clarity, the confidence, but they don't want the miles. They don't want the silence. They don't want the dark. You want peace. Earn it. You want strength. Earn it. You want to walk into a room and not give a fuck about who's judging you. You build that by doing shit when no one's watching. Mental callous isn't about arrogance. It's about certainty. Certainty that whatever life throws at you, you've already been through worse. You've already suffered more. You've already stood in the fire and said, that's all you got. So go build it. Today. Not next Monday. Not January 1st. Not when the schedule clears up. Today. Pick something hard. Something you don't want to do. Something that exposes you. Do it. And do it again tomorrow. And the next day. And don't talk about it. Don't post about it. Don't wait for you got this from someone who ain't doing shit themselves. Shut up and do the reps. The armor comes later. You don't earn toughness by thinking about it. You earn it through blood, sweat, failure, and grit. One rep at a time. Man, if you're still here, if you've made it through the darkness, the sewer, the accountability, the suffering, the callousing, and you're still standing, then maybe you're finally ready to hear the real reason all this matters. And your purpose isn't comfort. Your purpose isn't success. It's not money, not followers, not trophies, not applause. Your purpose is pain. Pain is the path. Pain is the test. Pain is the teacher. Every great transformation, every real evolution, every person who became something unshakable, they all went through pain. And not just pain that happened to them. Pain they invited in. Pain they chose. Pain they turned into fuel. Because here's the deal. The greatest version of you is buried under layers of weakness, layers of lies, layers of soft-ass living and bullshit self-image and people-pleasing and fake confidence. That version of you isn't coming out with some weekend seminar. It's coming out when life breaks you down and you decide not to stay broken. And when I think about what drives me, it's not the medals. It's not the titles. It's not being the toughest man alive or whatever bullshit label people want to put on me. That shit's meaningless if I'm not at war with myself. Every single day. That's the real game, to die on empty. To live in such a way that when your time comes, you don't have to wonder what could have been. That's what drives me. I think about death every single day. I think about meeting my maker. And when I do, I believe he's going to show me a chart. And on that chart is the man I was supposed to be, not who I pretended to be, not who I settled for, or how I was meant to become if I did the fucking work. That thought haunts me. Because I know that for most of my life, I was nowhere close. I was scared, broken, full of excuses, weak as fuck. I was becoming someone I didn't even respect. But I flipped it. I changed the narrative. Not by reading some magical book, not by listening to another motivational speech. I changed it by suffering. Deliberately. I wrung myself out like a wet rag. Physically. Mentally. Spiritually. I pushed until there was nothing left. And then I kept pushing. Because the old me needed to die for the new me to live. That's the truth. And that's what most people won't tell you. You don't just become your best self. You got to kill the old one first. You got to go to war with the inner bitch that wants to sleep in, skip the workout, avoid the mirror, stay average, stay safe. You got to drown that motherfucker in discipline. Starve it with repetition. Beat it down with commitment. And yes, it's painful. It's supposed to be. You think purpose is supposed to feel good. You think you're going to find meaning in a soft life, in a padded schedule, and a high-paying job, and a nice house in the suburbs while your soul is rotting from the inside out. Fuck no. You find purpose when you suffer for something bigger than yourself. You find purpose when you keep pushing after everyone else has quit. You find purpose when you look back at the man or woman you used to be. And you don't even recognize them anymore. That's growth. That's the win. Not applause, not approval, not status. Transformation. Becoming the person who didn't quit. The person who chose hard over easy. The person who rewrote their story with blood, sweat, tears, and grit. So yeah, your purpose is pain, but not just pain for the sake of pain. Pain that changes you. Pain that exposes who the fuck you really are. Pain that burns away the lies and reveals the weapon underneath. Because here's another truth. The world needs you at full power. Not the version of you playing nice. Not the version avoiding confrontation. Not the version that's soft, scared, or silenced. The world is full of fake-ass inspiration. Filtered people selling you a dream. They don't even live. You want to inspire someone. Do the hard shit they're afraid to do. You want to lead someone. Suffer in public. Show people what it looks like to go through hell and come out harder. You want to change someone. Start with yourself. That's your responsibility. That's your duty. And if you don't accept it, you're wasting your life. Period. You don't have to be David Goggins. You don't have to run 100 miles. You don't have to go through Bud S or lose 100 pounds. But you do have to go all in on whatever your battlefield is, wherever your weakness is, whatever lie you've been living. You go fight it. Make your pain mean something. Use it to lift someone else. Use it to raise your standard. Use it to kill the old version of you that was scared of their own shadow. The world isn't fair. It never was. But that doesn't give you a pass. It gives you a target, a challenge, a reason to get fucking dangerous with your discipline. Because discipline is love, not comfort. Discipline is saying, I love myself enough to stop letting me off the hook. I love my future enough to suffer now. I love my people enough to lead by example. That's what pain is trying to teach you. That's what suffering is trying to carve into your bones, not to break you, but to build you into something real. So, yeah, chase the pain. Wake up early. Do the extra reps. Have the hard conversation. Be the one who carries the weight. Be the one who leads from the front. Be the one who never fucking quits. And one day when you're at the end, when it's over, when you're staring down the moment we all have to face, you'll be able to say, I gave it everything. I didn't run. I didn't hide. I didn't waste this. That's purpose. That's peace. And it only comes to those who earned it through fire. Stay hard.